So glad all of you are here today, and it's good to have each of you here in Oklahoma City, and we're excited to see what God is doing and talking to us and saying to us. He is a great and an awesome God. So as we look into the Word of God, we're so glad that everybody in Clovis, New Mexico is with us as well. Would you, here in Oklahoma City and in Clovis, and would you all give a round of applause to all of your brothers and sisters in the Lord? So glad that each of you are here, and we're not just far apart, separated by miles. We're together in Jesus, and we're all part of one family, and that's a great thing. That's a great thing. Even though you may not have met everybody there, and they may not have met everybody here, we're all made one by the person we believe in, and that's a great thing. Today we are in the series, wrapping up the series, really, that we've been calling Made, God's Glory in Creation, and we're going to actually see if we can get the other PowerPoint up, okay? Let's see if we can get we'll get that fixed in a second, okay? We are working on a series today that has been I have just enjoyed preaching. It's been a different sort of thing for me, using a lot of visuals and trying to illustrate the greatness of our God through science. The most important foundational truth of this series has been everything has a maker. Everything has a maker. Everything you see has a maker. And so whatever you see, that you look at a building, you look at a skyscraper, you look at a small little computer or a phone or a PowerPoint remote, or you look at the car that you drove in, they all had makers. We know that's the truth because there's complexity there, there's systems there, there's intelligence, there's design there, and it's obvious that everything that you see had a maker. So, if that's true, if everything that you see had a maker, I would submit to you that the world had a maker too, because there's design and there's complexity and there's detail, and we expect to see those things in things, not that just happen by random chance, but things that had a maker. God made and created everything that we see. Now today, I want to start by giving you some perspective, okay? Because we're going to go inside the human body, and we're going to go inside you and talk about the details of who you are. Just a few things, but I don't think it'll have the impact that I want if I don't zoom out first and just kind of remind you of where we've been. Okay, because we started this series with a message talking about the size and the scope of the universe. I'm not going to rewind and talk about all of that, but today I would like to just open up by talking about 4 stars. Okay, I want to talk about 4 different stars. Maybe we can handle that. We're not going to do galaxies and nebula and all of those things, but we're going to talk about just 4 stars. Okay, can you handle that much this morning? Let's start off with that. The first one you know pretty well. You've seen it even probably this morning, though you might not have taken time to really look at it. It's our sun. And man, it's not just a happy little glowing face up in the sky. It is an amazing ball of fire and flame and gas. Wow. 93 million miles away. I want to give you some perspective this morning. I'm going to grab a ping pong ball this morning. I want you to give you some perspective, because you can say, well, the sun is really, really big. It's really huge compared to the earth, but maybe that's just not making it really, maybe it's just not making it really real to you. If you could shrink the earth down to where it was the size of this ping pong ball, the sun would be 15 feet in diameter. If you could shrink the earth down where it was this big, the sun would be 15 feet in diameter. It would be bigger than that screen, bigger than the image on the screen. It'd be bigger than the screen. It'd be almost about the size from one of those columns to the other on our platform here. It's big. It's very, very big. If this was the size of the earth, the sun would be 15 feet in diameter. It is huge, incredibly hot, flaming ball of gas running off nuclear fusion. And you could put 960,000 planet Earths inside the sun. there was a lid on top of the sun and you could open it up and start dumping planet Earths inside it, 960,000 planet Earths would fit inside the sun. And I just want to remind you of what the scripture says in Psalm 33:6. And if you're watching on your, do you have handouts this morning? You're working with handouts? They didn't get them to you? That's all right. That's my fault. The handouts, we'll just skip that for today. I'm going to give you the facts, all right? Psalm 33:6 says this, "By the word of the Lord, the heavens were made, and their starry host by the breath of his mouth." Something that much bigger than this amazing planet that we live on, something that much bigger came to pass because God said it. He spoke it into existence. He didn't lift a finger to create the earth. He said, "Let there be stars," and there were stars. Big, huge, amazing stars. God didn't lift a finger. He just spoke it, and it happened. But, the sun is not even close to the biggest of the stars. I want to show you another star. Okay, this one, I remember when I learned about this one in high school, and it just blew my mind. It just blew my mind. This one is called Betelgeuse. Yeah, it's spelled a little different than that. It sounds like you might spell it beetle and juice. You don't really, but it's pronounced Betelgeuse. And if you look at this star, this one, there it is in the night sky. If you zoom it in a little bit, here's an artist's conception of what Betelgeuse would look like if we zoomed it in a little bit. We don't have any real good, clear pictures of it like we do from our sun because it's so many light years away. But Betelgeuse is twice the size. Now you think I'm going to say twice the size of our sun, right? It's not. Betelgeuse is twice the size of Earth's orbit around the sun. Okay, so you get the sun, and out here you got Mercury and Venus and all those planets, and out there third rock from the sun, the third planet from the sun. You got the Earth spinning around the outside of the sun. Betelgeuse is twice the size of that orbit around the sun. It's a really, really big star. In fact, here's a slide that'll compare the difference, the size, the relative size of our sun to Betelgeuse. This is really big. This is really, really big. In fact, the truth is, it's on its way to dying. Betelgeuse is a dying star. It's in the last parts of its life cycle, this life cycle of a star. Someday, it is going to be a super or a hypernova because it's so big, and it'll blow up, and it'll be an amazing, amazing thing. However, it may not happen for 100 to 10,000 years. We're just not really sure when. So you probably won't see it, but it's going to blow up, and it's going to be amazing. However, I want to give you this. If the earth were a golf ball, a ping pong ball, if the earth was a ping pong ball, Betelgeuse would be the size of 6 Empire State Buildings stacked on top of each other. Okay, that didn't move anybody this morning. Nobody's like, oh, okay. Maybe what we need to do this morning is buy you and all your family plane tickets. You'd like that, wouldn't you? Right? It's like, yeah, that'd be real good. We're going to buy you plane tickets, and we're going to fly you to New York City. And we're going to fly you up there, and we're going to give you a ping pong ball. And I want you to go up. You're going to go up into Midtown, and you're going to get down at the base of this building right here. And you're going to set your golf ball, your ping pong ball, down on the sidewalk. Don't worry, it's New York. They're all crazy. Nobody will look at you like you're crazy. Right? You're gonna set your ping pong ball down on the sidewalk, and then I want you to cross the street, and I want you to look, and I want you to look up, and I want you to imagine 5 more of them stacked on top of each other, and then look down and see your golf ball, your ping pong ball. See, that's you, and that's me, and that's 7 other billion people on this planet. This place God has made is really, really big. You could fit 262 trillion Earths inside Betelgeuse if it was the size of a ping pong ball. 262 trillion Earths. That's enough golf balls to fill the Superdome with golf balls 3,000 times. This is big. This is really, really big. But you know what? I want to go bigger. Let's talk about another star. You ready? Musifi. There's Musifi right there. That one that's the brightest of the ones in that size right there. We zoomed in on Musifi's area of the sky. Musifi is really big. If the Earth were a ping pong ball, Musifi would be the length of 2 Golden Gate bridges end to end. Okay, that's not moving anybody. Apparently, we need to take this 747 that we've chartered, and we need to fly to San Francisco. You guys ready to go to San Francisco? Let's go. We're going to fly to San Francisco. You're going to put in your pocket, you're going to put your ping pong ball. And we're going to fly out there, and we're going to go into San Francisco, and we're going to go over to one end of that bridge right there. And we're going to lay our golf ball down right here at one end of the bridge, and we're going to cross the bridge over into Oakland. And we're going to go and we're going to imagine another Golden Gate Bridge beyond that one, from the one end to just put them end to end in your mind. And then you're going to look back and try to see if maybe you can find your ping pong ball. You could put, if the Earth was the size of a ping pong ball, you could put 2.7 quadrillion Earths inside Musifi. You know what quadrillion is? Do you understand quadrillion? Most people don't understand quadrillion. Here's the way they think it works. They think quadrillion is like this right here. Million, billion, quadrillion. A million, billion, trillion, quadrillion. That's the way most people think it works. They think it's like it's bigger, 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 bigger. It's really not. It's not a linear progression. It's a geometric progression. Each one is 1,000 times larger than the one before it. You say, they said that's not communicating at all, Daryl. Okay, let me try this, all right? Let's try it this way. 1 million seconds ago, anybody want to take a guess? 1 million seconds ago. How long? What do you think? 12 days. Okay? 12 days. Everybody's pulling out their calculators, you know. Multiplying 60 seconds times 60 minutes times 24 hours. I'm helping you out, Eric. I see you pulling it out there. It's multiplying 60 times 60 times 24 times, 12 days ago. 1 million seconds. 1 billion seconds ago, and you say, last October. You think that's about right? You know, last October, that's a year. That's a billion seconds ago. That'd be about right. I mean, 12 days is 1 million, and we're trying to think really big, right? 1 billion seconds ago, I did the math this week. January 1982. Yeah, I was 1.5 billion seconds ago. Whoa, 1 billion's a lot bigger than 1 million. Oh yeah, a lot bigger. 1 trillion seconds ago? You're like, oh, no, I see where you're going with this, Daryl. The 1800s. Right? The 1800s? No. Christopher Columbus sailed the ocean blue in 1492? Nope. The time of Christ? Nope. How about 29,700 years before Christ? 29,700 BC. That's crazy. As if there was I wouldn't even personally, I'm a young earth guy. I think that literal 6 days of creation, 6,000 to 10,000 years ago, I just believe what the Bible seems to say about creation. And so I don't even think there was a 29,700 BC, but if there was, that's how long 1 trillion seconds ago is. A quadrillion seconds ago, are you ready for this? 30.8 million years. Now, a quadrillion, y'all, is way bigger than a million. And you could fit 2.7 quadrillion Earths inside Musifi if the Earth was the size of a ping pong ball. But we're going to go bigger, okay? This is the granddaddy of all of them. This is the biggest of the big. Are you ready? This one is Canis Majoris. Now, I don't know if you know Latin or not. I'm no Latin expert, but Canis Majoris, I know just enough Latin roots to know that's a good name for the biggest star they've ever found, because Canis Majoris means the big dog. The big dog star, okay? It is unimaginably huge. If the Earth was the size of a golf ball, Canis Majoris would be the height of Mount Everest. It would be the height of Mount Everest. Apparently, we're going to have to get us all back on the plane. And we're going to fly to Nepal. And we're going to get out and we're going to go up to the bottom of that mountain and we're going to lay our golf ball down, our ping pong ball down. And then we're going to get way, way back where we can even see the whole mountain. And we're going to try to see your ping pong ball. Just for perspective, you want to see the Empire State Building next to Mount Everest? You want to see that? There you go. Sister Tyler saw that slide before the service. She said, "How'd they get it there?" All right, I admit it. I did a whole bunch of research and I shrunk the Empire State Building. I took a diagram and I shrunk it down, and it's basically 20 times the height of the Empire State Building. So I stacked them on top of each other until I had 20 of them and then deleted 19 of them, and that's what I got. Okay? That's crazy. You want to see the size of Beetlejuice? There. That's 5. I guess that's 5 instead of 6 Empire State Buildings stacked on top of each other. My friends, our God is great. He is awesome. See the golf ball you're on? You could put 7 quadrillion Earths. 7 quadrillion Earths inside Canis Majoris. That's enough ping pong balls to cover the state of Texas in ping pong balls 22 inches deep. And some of you this time of year, you're like, that's a good use for Texas. Let's go ahead and cover it 2 inches deep and 22 inches deep. Yeah, at least here in Oklahoma, that's the way we roll this time of year, isn't it? And about this time, my friends, you get a really, really shrinking feeling. You see the one you're on, covering the state of Texas 2 feet deep in ping pong balls? You see the one you're on with 7 billion other people like you? Oh, my friends, the God we serve is awesome. And you know what? The shrinking feeling that comes over you when you realize how awesome and how big this universe is, that's not a bad shrinking feeling. That's a good shrinking feeling. You know why? Because sin has a way of shrinking God down in our minds and puffing us up in our own estimation until we kind of feel like we don't fear God and we don't respect God, and we are worthy of respect, and we are something big, and we are something special, and our way is the best way, and we know best, and we've got more wisdom and more smarts than He does. But you know what? One look out into the universe and the scope of what God has made ought to be enough to shrink us back down to our own size. and shrink us back down to where we realize that there is a God that we are worshiping who is not small and who is not little and who is not limited, but we are worshiping a God of all kinds of might and unrivaled power and uncontested glory and unquestionable wisdom. He is great and greatly to be praised, and there is none like him in the universe. He is awesome in power and scope and size. We are the weak ones. We are the fragile ones. We are the ones who need wisdom. We are the ones who need rescuing. We are the ones who need to shut our mouths sometimes and hear what this star-breathing God would say, and then say in a very small chipmunk sort of voice, okay. But you know what? This God who breathes out the stars, this God who breathes out the stars, has marked us with His majesty. He has marked us and stamped us with majesty. In Genesis chapter 1, verse 26, it says, "Then God said, let us make man in our own image and in our likeness, and let them rule over the things that I have created on this earth." Psalm 139, David, in just this awe and wonderment, said, "I am fearfully and wonderfully made." And you know what? He didn't even know the half of it. They had never seen human cells under microscopes. And he already realized, how do these systems work together? How does all this happen? He already knew. You see, He has made you and I in His image. We are fearfully and wonderfully made. And you know how you began, right? One cell from your dad found one cell from your mom. There's more to it than that, but we're going to stop there for today. One cell from your dad found one cell from your mom. Each one carrying 23 chromosomes with half your dad's DNA and half your mom's DNA. And they both made, and they joined together. And those chromosomes, those 23 chromosomes matched up, and the DNA began to combine. And that half DNA from your mom began to combine with the half DNA from your dad. And when it did, using 4 characters, 4 nucleotides written in the DNA, that spiral double helix at the core of the cells that make up you, it wrote out a 3 billion character description of who you are, using 4 letters, repeated and back and forth in different patterns and different combinations. And it began writing that out. And it was a picture. When it joined together and that 3 billion characters began writing out, it was a picture that had never been written and never been painted in the history of the world. There is no one else that looks, feels, talks, acts, walks, thinks exactly like you. There's nobody else like you. And it wrote out your human DNA, your whole genetic code, the whole picture of who you were going to be in one cell. 3 billion characters. Scientists tell us if we were to take the DNA out of that cell, that one cell that formed you, if we were to take it and stretch it out, it would be about 6 feet long. DNA inside your cell. That 6 feet long of DNA, 3 billion characters. If we were to read your DNA, reading 1 character per second, it would take 96 years to read that picture of who you are. Reading 1 character per second, night and day, 24 hours a day. 96 years. And it was a picture that had never been painted in all of history. And then that one cell did the unthinkable. the unimaginable. It set out to build that model out of one cell. It took that character description, that 6 feet, 3 billion character description of who you are, and it said, I'm going to make that. Remember these days? You're not going to find this one in the family photo album. But that's you at 30 hours old. Already the DNA has duplicated itself. The 3 billion characters has duplicated itself and split and formed another cell. And it's in the process right there of splitting again and duplicating itself again. And each of those cells is going to divide and it's going to form again. And so 40 hours later, you've grown quite a bit. You've doubled in size. And the 2 cells has become 4. And the 4 cells becomes 8. And so you got some new cells because that 3 billion characters has duplicated itself again. Here you are at 3 days old. 16 cells. You say, what is that? What is that, Daryl? That's 16 human cells, the 16-cell embryo on the tip of a safety pin. On the point of a safety pin. Had incredible magnification. Safety pin looks kind of blunt from here, doesn't it? You ever poked yourself with one? It's not blunt at all. That's just really, really big. 16 cells, every single one of them containing the blueprint for building the machine that is you. On its way to making the 75 to 100 trillion cells that make up your body as you sit here this morning. 75 to 100 trillion cells. Every single one of those cells at its core contains the DNA description that makes up you. Every single one of them. In fact, scientists say if you were to take all of the DNA of the human body, stretch it out and lay it end to end, it would go from here to the moon and back 178,000 times. You are amazing. And while I told you that, 50,000 of your cells died and were replaced by new cells. And while I told you that, 50,000 more cells died and were replaced by new cells. Every 3 seconds, day and night, every single moment of your life. And you wonder why you're tired. It's like, I thought I was tired because of work. No, you're a miracle. You never thought about it, but every 3 seconds since I've been talking, you've been replacing 50,000 cells every 3 seconds. Your body did it without you even knowing. It duplicated cells and split them and formed new ones and replaced ones that were dying. Red blood cells and skin cells and wow. We're miracles. We're miracles. Walking, talking, speaking, thinking, feeling, acting miracles. St. Augustine, great church father, said this. He said, men go abroad to wonder at the heights of mountains, at the huge waves of the sea, at the long courses of the rivers, at the vast compass of the ocean, at the circular motion of the stars. But they pass by themselves and never notice. Sometimes you can think you're not worth anything. But my friends, every time you look in the miracle, every time you look in the mirror, you just witnessed a miracle. Miracles happening every day at this stage of your life. These days, before any of you had ever really thought of anything and realized anything, miracles happening every day. Let me just tell you about one of them, all right? Just one of them. While you were developing, 1 million optic nerve endings left the optic center of your brain, climbing and reaching out toward 1 million optic nerve endings that left your eyeball, headed toward your brain. 1 million looking for 1 million. and they had to match exactly. And they get there, and they reach the middle, and they find each other, and they joined and fused together, and in that instant, you had sight. Of course, you didn't need it yet because you had no eyelids. You had no eyelids. But soon after this, a little cutting, you have one piece of skin covering your eyes, but soon after this, a little cutting device appears and slices across that little thin piece of skin, and you have eyelids for the first time. If you were to do the math, the eye, I looked it up this week. Google's amazing. The eye, the math multiplies out to the eye being a 576 megapixel camera. The span of width that it has and the resolution that it can achieve. Cell phones, love them. All right, just tell them I said hi, will you? Thank you. You're 576 megapixels, and you got one on each side of your head. Amazing, incredible. Scientists, almost everybody will tell you the most technologically advanced things in the world are your brain and your eye. The human eye and the human brain. Nothing gets more technologically advanced than that. We got supercomputers that just for calculations per second would seem like they could blow us away with how many calculations per second they can do. But your brain is a computer that rewires itself. It's an organic computing system that rewires itself. Literally, it can strengthen this path and learn how to do something better. Computers don't, and they definitely don't rewire themselves. But your brain does. Amazing. The computer chip that we wonder at, the microchip that has made all this stuff possible, that the technological advances today, your smartphone and your laptop and the computers, the microchip, a little thin wafer of silicone, a 1/4 inch, about 7 millimeters across, it might have 100,000 transistors built into it. And that's incredible, right? A 1/4 inch and 100,000 transistors, little switches to turn the electrical current on and off. And wow, that's amazing. And we wonder, look at what man has made. But did you ever know that in the back of your eye, there is a retina that is thinner than a sheet of plastic wrap that you wrap around your food in your refrigerator? It's a little membrane on the back of there, and every single one of those, they have sophisticated photoreceptors, rods and cones that receive light and color and translate that to the optic nerve endings. And those ones, it doesn't just have 100,000 of those, it has 200,000 for every square millimeter. A 7 millimeter microchip, 100,000 transistors. Your retina has 200,000 receptors, 200,000 photoreceptors for every square millimeter. Incredible. Incredible what God has done. And so we look at all that He has made, and we wonder at it up here. But I would encourage you to look at yourself and understand that the greatest thing that God has made is not something that is scope and size and runs off nuclear fusion. The greatest thing that God has made, the most of Himself, the most of His glory and His image that He has poured into anything, is into you. God has made amazing things, but you are the most amazing of all. Psalm chapter 33, verse 6, we read a while ago, by the word of the Lord, the heavens were made, and their starry host by the breath of His mouth. And it says in the next verse, He gathers the waters of the sea into jars and puts the deep into storehouses. Like God tells the sea, this is where I'm storing you. You can't go any further. Verse 13, though, this amazing psalm takes a turn. And I want you to hear this. From heaven, the Lord looks down and sees all of mankind. And from His dwelling place, He watches all those who live on earth. He who forms the hearts of all, who considers everything that they do. He says, I love you, I see you. And though I made and spoke and stars that would blow your mind, I created by the word of my mouth, but I look down and I see you. And I'm looking right at you. In fact, in verse 15 it says this, listen, the eye of the Lord is on those who fear him, on those who trust in his unfailing love, to deliver them from death and keep them alive in famine. What a promise from the God who breathes out stars. And he says, I've got my eye on you. I see you. I'm watching you. I know where you are, and I will literally, at the hardest moment of your life, when there is not enough food in the cupboard and there's really not a good plan to get any there, I am able to reach down into your life and literally hold you in my hand, because I see you and my eye is on you to keep you alive in famine. I want to tell you one more thing about the human body, and I owe this illustration to a friend of mine, a preacher, fellow preacher I've never met, but I've been influenced by, and just really God used him to just kind of break the doors open on some of this stuff in my mind. His name's Louis Giglio, and he was telling this story. I just want to tell it to you the way he did, because he was preaching a sermon at a conference, and a guy came up to him afterwards and said, hey, I really appreciated your message. Where are you going next after this conference is over? Just making conversation. He said, well, I got to go back to Atlanta to my home church. I'm preaching for my pastor this weekend, and I'm doing a message on the glory of God in the human body. And the guy said, oh, that's cool. He said, I'm a molecular biologist. I study molecules in the way they work in life and in biology. And he said, give me your sermon, give me your talk. And he said, well, I'm not really ready to present it to a molecular biologist. That's kind of intimidating. But he said, I kind of stumbled through it, and he said he was being kind and gracious. Oh, well, that's nice. And he said, what's your big finish? What's your big right hook at the end? You know what is? And he said, well, I don't really have one right now. He said, oh, Louis, your big finish is laminin. He said, it's what? He said, it's laminin. He said, I don't even know what that is. He said, oh, Louis, it's laminin. You got to tell him about laminin. He said, it's a protein. You know what proteins are? No. He said, okay. He said, molecules organize themselves into chains and structures and shapes. And he said, and the shape and the structure of the protein tells the cell what that protein's job is in the human body. And he said, there's like 10 to 60,000 proteins in the human body. We don't even know what they all are. Yeah, there's somewhere between 10 and 60,000 of them, and they organize themselves. And he said, but you got to tell them about laminin, Louis. He said, laminin is the cell adhesion molecule. It's the one that, he said, it holds things together. It's like, he said, it's the one that holds your skin on, and it holds the lining of your organs together, and holds your organs in place in your body. It said, it's like the rebar of the human body. You know that steel they put in concrete that keeps it from cracking and waving. It holds it all together. He said, it's like that. It's the rebar of the human body. Louis, you got to tell them about laminin. And he said he was so excited. I said, okay. He said, I'm going to tell him about laminin, and when I do, I'm sure revival is going to break out and sweep across the church and the whole country. And he said, I don't even know how to spell laminin. And he took out a business card out of his wallet, and he wrote Laminin on the back of his business card and handed it to him. He said, Lou, you got to go out. He said, well, what is it like? He said, no, look, you just need to go home and Google laminin. All right. So he said, I went home. I sat down at the computer, went to Google, clicked on image search, and typed in Laminin and pushed go. And you see these little thumbnails start popping up on the screen. And he said, I'm sitting here with my mouth open. That's laminin? That's the cell adhesion molecule? That's what's holding my body together? Wow! Oh my goodness. He said, I emailed the guy. I said, wow, 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 wow. You want to see laminin? Now that maybe you're a little curious. You want to see a molecule of laminin? All right. Here we go. You ready? Here we go. Now, come on. That's crazy. Look at that. Does that bring any image to your mind? Does that bring any structure to your mind? That's insane that the thing literally holding your body together so it doesn't fall apart. At this very moment, the thing that can be stretched out, its structure is flexible and can be spread out into thin sheets and still hold together. It can be, in fact, they make artificial sheets of this. They take sheets of it and make it to hold organ transplants in place. The thing holding your skin on and holding your heart in place right now is in the shape of the cross of our Lord Jesus. That is crazy. Your God, who breathed out stars so big they would fry your brain, said, watch this. I'm going to make my greatest creation in my image and in my likeness, and I'm going to stamp my image before the foundation of the world. The Bible says the Lamb was slain. And he said, watch this. I'm going to put a reminder of me in their cells, and they won't even know it's there until they find it thousands of years from now. And so we read in Colossians chapter 1, and it says this about Jesus. He is the image of the invisible God, the firstborn over all of creation. For by him all things were created, both in the heavens and on earth, visible and invisible, whether thrones, or dominions, or rulers, or authorities. All things have been created through him and for him. He is before all things, and get this, in him all things hold together. For it was the Father's good pleasure for all of his fullness, the Father's fullness, to dwell in him, and through him to reconcile all things to himself, all things in heaven and in earth, having made peace through the blood of his cross. The guy emailed Louis back and said, you want to see an actual laminin molecule? He said, I want to send you an actual electron microscope photograph of a laminin molecule. There it is. Wow. You see, the cross is the place where the star breather becomes the sin bearer. And the cross is the place where it proves God does not always change your circumstances. He does not always suddenly fix everything. He didn't for Jesus. He does not always suddenly come down and scoop you out of pain and scoop you out of your circumstance and prevent you from ever hurting. But he does prove by stamping himself on your very cells. He stamps himself there to prove that for those who trust in him and in his unfailing love, his purpose will always and forever stand. And his thoughts and his plans and his mind is greater than yours, and he knows what you're going through, but he says, stick with it because I've got something I'm doing as well. In Isaiah chapter 40, verse 27, I want to wrap up with this one. Isaiah 40:27, it says this, why do you say, O Jacob, and complain, O Israel? My way is hidden from the Lord. My cause is disregarded by my God. See, this is at a moment in Israel's history. The people of God at this time in history felt like they had been forgotten and forsaken, and there was nothing for them. Why do you say, my way is hidden from the Lord? Do you not know? Have you not heard? The Lord is the everlasting God, the creator of the ends of the earth, and He will not grow tired or weary, and His understanding no one can fathom. He gives this creator God who made all of this, He gives strength to the weary, and He increases the power of those who are weak. Even youths, even young men grow tired and weary. Boy, that's true. And even the young men stumble and fall. But those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be faint. The God who said, I made that. When you look up and you see the burning fury of the sun and you realize it's very small in God's big universe. The God who says, I made that, looks at you and says, I care about you. And you know what? When you think you can't go one step further, and you think you can't keep going, and when you've lost someone that you care about, and the plan you thought was going to work didn't, and when you think it's all over, I might as well throw in the towel, there is a God who steps in and says, I'm not done with you. I've been watching you the whole time. Here, let me pick you up and let you soar on wings like eagles. Let me let you run and not grow weary. Let me let you walk and not faint. And this morning, whether you're soaring or running or walking, you may feel like I'm not making so much soaring progress. You wait, because someday He'll lift you up there. You say, maybe I'm not even running there. I'm just kind of plodding along. You know what? You will walk and not faint. Because your God, who made everything in this universe, says, I look at you and I'm going to give you just enough strength to take that step and that step and that step. And when it doesn't look like you understand what's going on in your life, I'm going to say, you can take that step, and you can take that step, and you can get up this morning, and you can go to work this morning, and you can be happy in Jesus this morning, and you can pray again this morning, and you can trust me again for that bill, and you can love me and trust me for that child, and you can trust me for this problem in your life, because He's that big and He's that good. And He loves you intensely with an everlasting love. Praise God. Would you bow your heads with me and let's pray together?